Alright, the Fated One Rezael has his ride line, so let's begin. Here's the starter, Wings of Aspiration Soil, and into the grade 1 with a key power, Patrol of Gust Vetesta, which has the skill of auto when rolled upon by Knight of Great Advance Ascensir. You can call this to rearguard and then soul charge 1, so basically it just replaces itself from soul. And then second skill, count rearguard during turn if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard that is Rezael plus 2k, so it could be a 10k attacker or booster. Honestly, if the first skill is not restricted to that specific grade 2 of the ride line, it would be nice. Next to the grade 2 with 10k power, Knight of Great Advance Assessor, which has a skill of auto when rolled upon by a grade 3 Rezael. Choose up to one grade 2 or less card from the drop zone and call it to rearguard. It's really funny that it's from drop zone for Cater, but for this deck it kind of makes sense because Angel theme reviving from the dead, or in this case, healing the fallen. And now to the grade 3 with 13k power, Fated One of Miracles Rezael, which has a skill of auto Vanguard. When this card attacks the Vanguard, cost counterblast 1, choose up to 2 cards from your drop zone with different grades and a total of grade less than or equal to the number of cards in damage zone and call them to rearguard. So basically, if your damage zone has 3 cards, you can call up to a total of grade 3s. So you can call 2 cards that is grade 2 and then plus 1, which will be total grade 3, or if you have 5 cards in the damage zone, you can call basically a grade 2 and a grade 3, which will make a total of 5. Kind of a fun little multi-attack engine, I must admit. The more pain you suffer, the more you call. And it kind of feels a bit like Malkuth Melekh already. But anyway, second skill, which is the Divine skill, Act Vanguard, cost Soul Blast 1, return all crits from your drop zone to your deck and shuffle it. And then this card gets drive plus 1 until the end of the turn, and then until the end of the fight, you cannot ride any other units other than Rezael, and you also get this skill where when you damage check a non-heal trigger, if your damage zone has 5 or more cards, choose a card from your damage zone and heal it, and then you lose the ability. A fallen angel that can revive itself. Basically, lets you recycle all your crits, and of course if you get lucky and you go to the unlucky scenario of going to the 6 damage, getting the trigger basically turns everything into heals, which is pretty nice. But of course this skill is meant to be more used in the situational timing, aka wanting to recycle a good number of crits before using it, or 2, if you're in the early game aspect and you're close to death already, you might want to use this as well just in case of the 6 damage trigger comes up. And it's kind of funny that this is the protagonist card, meaning that this could create plot armor, but at least this one makes it more reasonable, especially on the title of the card being the Miracle One. And overall it just feels a bit like Malkuth Melekh having the revival ability without sacrificing its own life. Funny enough that this one revived itself as well. And overall I kinda like it. And now to the support cards. Our first card is Gigantic Masher, which is grade 3 with 30 power, and the skill is count rearguard. If placed by rearguard by the ability of your Vanguard Rezael, plus 15k power. Situational timing, which will probably be replaced in the future, but for now you might have to run this just for beatdown purposes. Next, Aerial Sage, which is a grade 1 with 8k power, and the skill is count rearguard. During the battle that this unit boosts, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard that is Rezael, plus 5k power, 13k booster, which is not too bad, but it's mainly going to be behind the Vanguard thanks to the second skill because it's auto rearguard. When this unit boosts a grade 3 or greater Vanguard that is Rezael, cost discard a card from your hand and counter charge 1 and plus 2k power to the end of that battle. So it can become a 13k booster or a 15k booster for the Vanguard Rezael, which is of course going to make magic numbers, that being 28k in total. But so far the deck doesn't exactly use as much counterblast, but this is going to be future proofing a lot because it's counter charge, which is always nice resourcing. It's also nice in a way because you are discarding a card from your hand, which could be a resource from the drop zone, and as you can tell, Rezael is focusing on reviving the fall. And then finally, Knight of Gentle Beauty Noboia, which is grade 2 with 10 power, and the skills auto when placed on rearguard. If you have a grade 3 or greater Rezael, cost counterblast 1, look at top 3 cards of your deck, choose up to one grade 3 or less card from one of them, call it to rearguard, and then put the rest of the bottom deck in any order. If it was during battle, put the reveal card to your hand instead of calling it. This is pretty similar to original Aglavel, basically on call, look at top 3 to superior call 1. Too bad we can't call in the middle of battle, but I guess that might have been a little too OP, especially when Rezael can actually call in the middle of battle as well, giving you a little bit of a situation where you could increase the number of attacks and even boosters in some cases. But the nice part is that if it's during battle, you could at least put the card in your hand, which could actually be some of your better important cards to be put in hand anyway. But the second skill is also pretty nice because it's auto rearguard. When this card attacks a grade 3 or greater unit, if you have a grade 3 or greater Rezael, you can Soul Blast 1 to plus 10k power in that battle, which will make a pretty decent number on its own. And so far Soul hasn't been much of a problem, and putting another card in the drop zone is another revival of the Fallen type card. So overall, must play. Finally, we got Festival Booster 2024 with a new cater looking unit, and I would have to assume this is probably going to be for Rezael because protagonist reasons. We're also getting a new Blitz order along with a set order that are nationalists and 2 new OTs. And we also got reprints in this set, which are also promo reprints that are going to be with the RE, which means short printed. Hopefully they're not going to be very short printed, but at least if they make good reprints, maybe it might be worth it. So that's it for this Faded One of Miracles Rezael ride line. What do you guys think of it? Honestly, it feels very similar to Malkuth Melekh. Has the reviving from the fallen type ability, and especially if he falls, he can revive himself as well, which is a funny polar opposite to Malkuth Melekh because Malkuth Melekh sacrifices his own life to revive the dead. But it does feel like Malkuth Melekh being a very angelic looking warrior. But that's it for this, and see you all next time, and I might end up building the deck for its aesthetics.